Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Music is None of Our Business. And this week we are going to talk about music that reminds us of things, memory, nostalgia, etc., etc. Does that sound right?
But it does to me. I don't know about anybody
Yes.
else.
Yeah, because it's a weird thing, isn't it? I mean, I was thinking about this earlier, I a couple of years ago I was talking to my ex-wife, and I said something about, I was listening to that Wilco album, Summer Teeth. And she went, "Oh right, yeah." And I said, "Yeah. Do you remember? We both had copies of it that year we first started seeing each other." And I said, "Come on, every time I listen to it, it reminds me. I remember this happening. I remember this happening." And she went, "Nope, don't remember that at all."
Did she remember you?
And I. Yes, just only because I was wearing a name badge that day. So. But no, it was really funny. She had no memory of the whole record,
right?
And yet every time I listened to it, I was taken back to the summer of '99. I think it would have been, and I can remember everything in such detail. She didn't remember a fucking thing.
Well, it does affect us. It does grab us in different ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and it's not always necessarily good music. As I was looking through my memory banks, the things that were triggering memories for me were not necessarily records that I would have bought or listened to had it not been for the fact that they evoke some history. So this is going to be an awful playlist, perhaps.
Yeah, well, it will be. Well, it's funny because when we were talking about the other day. Whatever the last subject was, and I was talking about old 70s singles. Yeah. I mean, and some of them are fucking awful, and yet they bring back such memories. And also, I don't know about you, but I've got a few records. I mean, I haven't included them, but a few records make me remind me of certain things that they've got no connection to. It's just a feeling within that particular song will remind me of somebody, but they've got no relation to that. I mean, that the records could have come out years later.
That's interesting.
But I didn't actually include any of those. But yeah, there's at least 3 or 4 I could think of off the top of my head. Make me think of people that they have no connection with.
That's interesting because I thought that was just me, perhaps, because I'd got records that were released long years after the things that happened that made me think of those things and just had all of that spirit.
Yeah.
No connection at all, as you say. That's weird.
Absolutely,
we need psychologists to come on this show and tell us how we're thinking.
We do. I think we do. It's there was one called the one by a band called The School, I think. Cool. I don't want to. All I want to do is hang around with you, and it's just got that certain. I don't know. I can't. You know how terrible I am at describing things, but it's got just the tune, just the hook. Yeah. It just makes me think of things. Like I say, it's got nothing to connect it with at all.
The whole of the Cocteau Twins album Treasure makes me think of Christmas as a child. I don't know why. It's not a Christmassy record. Cocteau Twins hated the record themselves, or didn't like it. It wasn't one of their favourite. I think it's a brilliant record, but for some reason it reminds me of living at home with my parents at Christmas. And clearly
so weird,
that is weird.
Yeah. God.
Anyway.
Do you want to start?
No, I can do. You're always very, very gracious or scared or something. You always offer me the chance to go first. I'll take it.
It's just politeness. And you never
I've known you for 4 decades.
You're just rude.
I've known you for 4 decades, and politeness would not come in the list of words of description. But no matter. Right. My first tune then, pretty much evocative of the whole of my early childhood, late 60s, early 70s, and it's not a track that I would ordinarily listen to. It is so sickly sweet and sugary, but it is of that time, and it's White Horses by Jackie Lee.
Oh, I so nearly put that on my list.
Did you?
I so nearly. I love White Horses.
Oh God, yeah,
absolutely. That's one of my favourite songs. But yeah, for memories.
It's for memories, yeah.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, you hear that, and that takes me not necessarily to that show, which I can barely remember. I can remember it was a bunch of badly dubbed toffs torturing horses to do things whilst minor melodramas happened around them.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, such a large volume of kids' programs back then were foreign, and a lot of them from countries that don't exist anymore. So White Horses was made in Yugoslavia, which clearly doesn't exist anymore. But you got The Singing Ringing Tree from East Germany, Boris the Bold from Czechoslovakia, and another one of my favourite tunes, The Flashing Blade, which was French. You've got to fight for what you want.
I was just jotting that down.
Brilliant.
I've actually got a 7-inch single. I've got the original 7-inch single of that. I bought it off eBay a few years
Great
ago.
Song.
Just because I thought it's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
It's a close thing between the theme tune to White Horses and the theme tune to The Flashing Blade. But they were great shows that I can barely remember. I can remember the American ones better, like Casey Jones and the Cannonball Express and Champion the Wonder Horse. But
don't get me going. I could sing you both those songs.
I could join in with you
easily. Almost all the way through. Almost all the way through. In fact, I know for a fact I've got a record with Champion the Wonder Horse. I found this old Frankie Lane. Was it Frankie Lane? I think it was Frankie Lane. Single EP years ago in a charity shop, and it had Champion
the Wonder Horse. Yep.
And I think I might have Casey Jones somewhere
Steaming in and rolling, Casey Jones. Yes, they're brilliant things. But I can remember precious little of the shows, other than they were all an absolute delight to a young kid. And some of the music, particularly as I say, White Horses and Flashing Blade, were great. And they just, I hear them and I'm back there.
Can I also add Robinson Crusoe?
Yes, yeah. It wasn't one that was forefront of my mind. I don't think I saw much of that, but I'm aware of it.
Oh, yeah. The music is just fabulous.
Is it? I have to have a listen.
Yeah, I've got a CD of the whole soundtrack. Oh, right. And also because TV soundtracks was one of the things, but I thought so many. I couldn't pick a specific one. But also, you had things like the Champions and Department S and Captain Scarlet.
Oh, the Andersons, they were all of those.
All the Anderson was, Joe 90. And you had Department S, all the ITC.
UFO. I used to like UFO
series.
Was another one. Ed Straker, I like that as well.
Yes. Random, did I say Random?
No, you didn't, but that was another great one.
That is one of the greatest, and of course, the greatest soundtrack of all time, The Sweeney.
Oh right, yeah. That's a bit older, perhaps.
That was a bit older. That was a bit after. That was 74.
Yeah,
I think. But yeah, totally. I mean, I think I don't know how much kids these days would be affected by, would remember soundtrack. I mean, because these were classic soundtracks.
They were.
I mean, there was so much effort put into these. They are proper composers. You had all of the library music guys from down in London. Alan Hawkshaw and people like that, John Cameron, knocking out these soundtracks left, right, and centre. And they were superb.
Yeah,
superb. I mean, Johnny Trunk and Trunk Records have got a fantastic amount of of old library music and TV themes and TV soundtracks released that are just wonderful. If you want a bit of nostalgia, I love Trunk Records. I buy some, and also Johnny Trunk has a really good Patreon channel where he does a radio show. You can download his show every week, and it's an hour of just bonkers music from the 60s, including like sountracks and jazz and all manner of different really wonderful things. Yeah. So
well, there you go then. There's my first one then. So over to you. What have you got at number one?
I haven't gone chronologically.
Okay.
Number one is London Calling with the Clash.
Oh, right, okay.
And that's more of a... It's weird because it's not a specific memory. It's just this every time I hear that dum 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 dum, it's like I'm in. I can see alternate me in the alternate universe at that time. Do you know what I mean? I feel the feeling of being 13.
I know what you mean.
And hearing it. Yeah. Don't remember specific locations but just that feeling, that kind of. I don't want to say tingle because you'll just take the piss and but it is it's just that feeling of being that age and being back in 1978. It's just it's such a wonderful record.
It is a great record.
The Clash were just one of my favourite bands ever.
Now, I didn't rate the Clash as highly as almost everybody around me thought they were brilliant. But London Calling is a fantastic track, no doubt about it.
Yeah. They could be a bit. Sandinista's just a bit tiring. Filler on Sandinista, yeah. But I mean, London Calling, the LP, is just banger after banger. Yeah. I mean, that is one of the great LPs of all time. I mean, the first one's pretty primitive punk rock. The second one is a bit more kind of a rock sound, but still awesome.
They always seemed tame to me. They always seemed like, even when you're doing things like White Riot and all of that kind of stuff, there's some great ferocious stuff, but on balance they always seemed a little bit too restrained for me and a little bit more tame than that other stuff.
I just love them. I mean, I lucky enough to get to see them. I saw them in '78, I think. Mm-hmm. My cousin took me to see them in Peterborough, and I don't remember much of the gig itself, but I just remember that feeling, of being there, and just there was just this amazing camaraderie of Clash fans. You just got sucked into it. It was fabulous.
Did you stick beside the Clash's side as they went kind of rock the Casbah and should I stay or should I go and all that shite?
Yes, well, weirdly, I hadn't bought Combat Rock, and I remember having a birthday party around that time, and Jilted bought me it as a present.
Oh wow!
Bought me a Combat Rock LP. Yeah. I think. I've got a feeling he bought it for himself, didn't like it, so thought, fuck it, I'll give it to Dave as a birthday present, the cheeky twat.
Maybe.
But, I think even then I respected what they were doing. They were like, kind of, they just sucked up influence from everywhere, didn't they? I mean, when Mick Jones went on to be in Big Audio Dynamite and kind of was pulling in all these influences from all over the place, hip hop and rap, they were well into that before anyone in Britain had really gotten to grips with it.
I don't know. I mean, they were perhaps forging their own path. I just didn't like it very much. That's all.
No, well, that's fair enough. That's personal taste, of which you don't have very much, obviously.
It's a war accident.
But yeah, I still love the Clash. I still listen to it. And London Calling, I think I listened to that more than any other LP. And as I say, just that opening track, London Calling itself is just so monumental.
I did play that yesterday, funnily enough. London Calling, the single. It's strange.
It just sends shivers down my spine, and so.
You'd be careful getting shivers down your spine at your age. You'll end up in hospital.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Bloody hell.
Oh dear. Okay, got it. But it's interesting what you say about how quite often the music that does evoke memories, they're not specific. They're not about that date, that event. They're about a circumstance, a time that's just generally the feeling. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've gone chronologically because, if you're going to make a list, do it properly, I always say. Not the kind of scattergun affairs you make. So
I just like to flap around.
You do flap around, yeah. You're a bit of a nightmare.
Like a fish being pulled out of the river. Just flap around, gasping for air.
Wavy Davy.
Yeah.
Right, so my number 2 evocative track is 1972, so a bit older now, and it's a track that reminds me very much of my father. Now, as we've said on a previous occasion, my dad was a long-distance lorry driver, so his primary area of musical interest was kind of trucker-oriented country and western. But he did work outside of that sometimes, and one of the tracks that he absolutely loved was Mouldy Old Dough by Lieutenant Pigeon.
Lieutenant Pigeon.
Indeed. And, you know, it reminds me of being 7 with my dad, and when me and he and my younger brother Bob, we would spend Sunday evenings in the dining room with the light switched off, all of us on our backs in the dark with a head underneath the gramophone listening to the top 40 rundown. Which, you know, I didn't get an awful lot of time to spend with my dad, really, because he was often away trucking. But those Sunday nights when he was there and we'd sit in the dark with our heads underneath the radiogram listening to the top 40 were very special. And, you know, that track in particular, it used to get him very animated. He was very, very into that track because I think it had just appealed to his warped sense of humour, really. The track can be re-accessed, in fact, because there are several very good remakes by VVM, otherwise known as Leyland James Kirby, with whom I had some very weird correspondence back in the early noughties. We were exchanging letters, even though emails had come along, we were exchanging letters, very weird letters, and I think VVM are great. But if you wanted to hear some interesting versions of Mouldy Old Dough, then you can pick up the VVM test recordings, double CD, Oral Offal Waffle, 10 pints of bitter and a bag of pork scratchings, which is all one word, but that's the title of the record.
That sounds like a snuff title. That's just snuff, flibbity dibbity dob, and Gall Blimey Gov. I can't even remember the first one, but yeah, that was a mouthful as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Mouldy Old Dough.
Mouldy Old Dough. I remember that. That's there's a record of that from Top of the Pops, isn't there? Because he's the guys. Didn't the guy's mum play piano on it? Or
I don't know. That's your minutiae of the music world.
There's an old lady on the piano, banging it out. Yeah, weirdly, I've got the LP that's on.
Oh God!
From a charity shop, believe it or not. And I just thought, Mouldy Old Dough. It's not a bad LP,
really?
Actually.
Okay.
It's of its time. I think it's a polite way of referring to it, but yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Weirdly, my second one relates to my dad as well.
Okay.
My dad, when we were kids, my dad always had a second job where he worked on a railway, and this, I mean, obviously back in the 70s. This was so when I was really little. He was a chimney sweep.
Oh,
in his
really?
part time. Yep, chimney sweep, and then he got into cars and used to converted our we had a big shed at the back of the house, and he converted that to a workshop and used to work on cars and put cars to the MOT. We used to change engines, loads of stuff, and then he kind of started getting into scrap cars, and he bought this truck, and this was like a flatbed. Not a massive lorry, but like a flatbed truck, and he'd have a trailer on the back of it, and you'd put cars on, put a couple of cars on, fill them up with old metal, and then take them off to the scrapyard. Mm-hmm. And I was his assistant. So this would have been late 70s, I would think. So I used to get a bit of pocket money for helping out. So the truck has an 8-track player.
Oh, right.
Do you remember 8-track cassettes?
Yeah.
And it had when he bought it, it had two 8-track cassettes in there. One was the greatest hits of 1974 or something, one of these K-Tel compilations. Yeah. The other one was bloody Black Sabbath, the Paranoid LP.
Oh, good God.
And so we used to drive all over the place in this truck with Paranoid. With Black Sabbath. So Paranoid. Just every time I hear Paranoid, it reminds me of my dad and being in this truck driving across country. The truck was a fucking death trap. the thermostat didn't work. So even on the hottest days, we had to have the heater on full.
Oh God!
So that the engine cooled down. But yeah, we used to load this truck up, and then off we'd shoot with bloody Black Sabbath blaring. And my dad had no interest. I think I've covered this before, probably the same time as you spoke about your dad. My dad had no interest in music whatsoever. But as I say, all we used to. And I remember the various artists had for Seasons in the Sun as well.
Yeah.
By Terry Jacks.
Yeah.
That's about the only song I remember off of that. But yeah, all that Paranoid album. Every time I hear Black Sabbath and especially Paranoid, I just think of me and my dad tooting around in this bloody this truck taking cars to the scrapyard. Oh my God. It's all coming out in the wash, isn't it?
Isn't it just? Yeah, bloody Paranoid, eh?
Yeah, I know. Who'd have thought? And just after poor old Ozzy died as well.
Yeah, it's very, very prescient to that to come up. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my number 3, bizarrely, it is a second dad story. I'm afraid it's the third one, and it has some similarities with you because it's now 1977. I'm 12 years old. Punk rock is breaking into the consciousness of kids that are older than me, but I'm still not there yet. And but I am old enough now to go out on trips in the lorry with my dad. And I would go out with him. We'd have these early starts when I wasn't at school, 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever, cheese and pickle sandwiches, and we'd be off to the Heinz factory or the vegetable processing plants or the brickworks or supermarkets, loading up and travelling and back across the country and unloading. And it was such an adventure because he'd let me navigate. We had obviously no sat navs or anything. Yeah, give me the map. Obviously he knew where to go, but he'd let me kind of feel like I was navigating, and I think I managed to get it right most of the time. But one of the songs that was on the radio,
apart from that time you ended up in Reykjavik.
Yeah, he let me off. We had some fish. It was okay. The song that I certainly wouldn't buy now, but really does catapult me back to those tracks is Afternoon Delight by Starland Vocal Band, which are you familiar with it?
I know. Yes, I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, it's very country thing, and it was actually I've discovered much later was named the 20th sexiest song of all time by Billboard in 2010, which was an aspect I think was well over my head at 12 years old. But barreling around with my dad,
not the first thing I thought of about Afternoon Delight. But
apparently it's about having sex in the afternoon, but it was clearly not picked up or censored or anything like that. But it's very, very lightweight country, and all it does for me is catapult me back. It's not a song I'd put on and listen to for any other pleasure than nostalgia. But there's adventures with my dad. I mean, he had a big stick of wood that he would jam on the accelerator and under the dashboard because he had no cruise control. So he'd just stick this bit of wood on the accelerator. I can remember him doing that. And there was another driver that he knew coming the other way, and he hopped up so he was standing on his chair and proceeded to mimic a large monkey as this other lorry came running by. So, I don't know how he got a licence. Well, I do actually, because I think he worked on the railway, and when LGV licence or HGV licences came in, if you had a car licence, you could just apply for one. You didn't have to have another test. So so when he finished up, when he had planned to finish on the railway, he just applied for a truck driving licence, never had to take a test, and it probably showed in the way he was irresponsible and reckless with his child in the cabin. But they were great days.
Oh dear.
Yeah, great days. They let me help to load and unload all the bricks and everything. It was great fun. But that song, I'm back there.
Excellent. Well, I'll see if I can find that on Spotify and add that to the playlist. That should be interesting.
Beware, listener, beware.
Bloody hell, yeah. Right, well, my next one is like I say, I'm just flapping backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
This is 1986, and although the record was released, it was Pretty in Pink by Psychedelic Furs. So by 86, 85, 86, I was living in just outside Cambridge and working at a hotel, and I'd kind of been through some shared houses, and I moved into we had a great big studio flat that the hotel, the HR at the hotel had acquired or had got details of, and decided to put a couple of people in there. You had kind of beds on either side of the room. You had and just shared it. So I just moved out of a house, and I was in there, and there was a guy called Adam who moved in with me, and he was a management trainee. He'd been to Loughborough University, and he was into death metal. And Metallica. He introduced me to like early Metallica, and I got him into things like Big Black, etc. But we both loved Pretty in Pink, and it was just played all the time. So one day he had a friend called Marion who came down from his university, stayed overnight, and the next morning he was on a split shift. I spent the day in the flat with her, just chatting away, drinking cups of tea and whatnot, playing Pretty in Pink, and she left, never saw her again. But this fucking song, I swear, every time I put it on, I can remember her. And this is 40 years ago.
Did she wear pink?
I can remember. No.
Was she pretty?
No, she was quite pretty, yeah. But I never saw her again. I just chatted to her for one evening with him around, chatted to her the next morning. He came back, took her to the station, she went. But it's just weird. Just that, like, I mean, in total, probably 8 hours in all, given that we slept in the middle.
Yeah.
And I remember her perfectly, just every time I put the song on.
How weird.
I know that is the thing about music and memory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just an inconsequential event like that, and I just, because we listened to that song all day and all morning, it was kind of just stuck on repeat on the record player.
Yeah.
And I remember, I vaguely remember him. I've no idea what his surname was. I don't know where he went. It's the weird thing about when you're young, people come and go from your lives, and you just don't even think about it. You never occurs to you that you'll probably never see them again. He packed his stuff up one day when his training stint at the hotel had finished. Packed his stuff up. It was like, yeah, see you, mate. Yeah, see you. Yeah. But we didn't see you. We never saw you again. That was it. For all I know, either of them could be dead now. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, Adam was he was a decent bloke. He was a bit too much. He thought he was Kyle Reese from the Terminator because he wore a long overcoat and those Nike things to the Velcro bits.
Oh dear.
And he had a bit of a flock of seagulls haircut as well.
And he's in a death metal.
He was into death metal, yeah. He was. There was a band called, I think they were called Death Angel.
Oh yeah,
Brazil.
I've heard of a band.
Are they from Brazil?
I don't know much about them, but the name's familiar.
Yeah, and he used to play that. He was well into his Metallica. That's how I discovered Metallica. He also introduced me to REM.
Oh.
Who became a massive favourite of mine. I was kind of aware of REM, but never listened to it. And he had a copy of. I think they just released Fables of the Reconstruction, and I thought it was fantastic, and that was the beginning of my love of REM as well.
I did see Psychedelic Furs play Pretty in Pink live. I wasn't
great.
No, I never liked them either.
I love. Do you know? Weirdly, Psychedelic Furs were one of those bands where I think they're the only band where I never realised quite how much I liked and listened to.
Really?
Them. For years, and all of a sudden I kind of found that I'd been listening to them so much, and it just didn't it didn't click.
Okay.
How they just kind of crept up on me, and I saw them a couple of years ago at the Junction in Cambridge, and God, they were good.
Yeah.
They were so good. They were, yeah. I really like. I mean, some of this they've got a couple of songs. I mean, Pretty in Pink is a classic, and so I mean, even some of the later LPs are really, really good. Really good.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Yes, they are. So they are.
Your word is taken. Okay, my number 4, we're at the 4 now. I'm afraid is another bit of a naff one, which I wouldn't listen to if it wasn't for the association of memory that I have with it. Still in 1977, I'm afraid. I'm still 12, so I've got a bit of an excuse. Went on a school trip to York, 3 days away as a 12-year-old, which was like going to another planet when you're 12. And we stayed in this big hostel in York with a big communal kitchen. We were sleeping in dorms with other with adults and strangers, so it was very, very un-21st century. But there was a piece of music that played several times on the radio through that stay, which again is just one that every time I hear it, I'm back there standing in this big green quadrant in the hostel, smelling the breakfast cooking and ready for the day's adventure. And that song is "We're All Alone" by Rita Coolidge.
Ooh.
Again,
I don't actually know that.
It's a pretty song, but it's a kind of country pop, sugary, pappy kind of thing. Again, like Starland Vocal Band, it's not something that I would go out and search through the rest of Rita Coolidge's catalogue or anything of that style. It's just something that takes me back to this big adventure I had with my mates, getting lost in York and running around, not knowing where we were going and what we were doing. I can remember there were some organised trips to the Minster and to the town and to the Shambles and all of that. I can remember that, and there was a boat trip as well because I've got old black and white photographs of them. But the real adventure was when we had time out where we could go off and do what we want. And again, 12 years old, 100 miles from home, 150 miles from home, and you got a bunch of 12-year-olds, off you go then, try to get back before we lock the place up, but off you go into York. And, who'd do that these days? There was one though. We got lost and we did get locked out, so we had to knock people up to let us back in, which we thought we were going to get a right bollocking for, but we didn't. It was all a bit of a shrug of the shoulders. All right, lads, had a nice time. Where you been? I don't fucking know. Just wandering around, looking at things. But yeah, Rita Coolidge, she's an instant catapult back to 1977 York and my schoolmates.
How weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, weirdly, talking of shit songs.
This is going to be a hell of a playlist, people.
Fucking hell. I don't think we're ever going to live this one down, are we? Bloody hell.
What do you got?
So my next one, it's very similar to yours, funnily enough. I would have been 12 and I went on a French exchange trip with the school.
Oh, you're so upper class.
But we went down to the south of France, near Montpellier.
Oh.
And I stayed with a family. The guy who I was on the exchange with, his name was Guillaume. And they were I think they were a lot more better off than we were. But they had basically, we went there and there were French girls, and we'd never encountered French girls before, and that was a bit of an eye-opener, I can tell you. As a 12-year-old, all they wanted to do was snog you in the back of the coach when you were going on. And it was like, oh my God, what's going on? These girls, and they're kissing me. It was, it was. They were
never happened again, did it, Dave?
So it didn't. No, not for a good 40 years. But they every night we'd be off to a party somewhere, and the big song at that time, well, obviously all they wanted to do was they dispensed with all the quick ones and then just get on the slowies so they could get you out and have another snog. And I was knackered. But there was a song called "Sorrow" by a guy called Mort Schumann, and it's dreadful. It's kind of he was American, weirdly, and but was really big on the continent. And "Sorrow" was almost a doo-wop parody, but it just had this really memorable chorus, and it stuck in my head for years. And I found a copy of the single in the end in Andy's Records secondhand department in The Beat Goes On in Cambridge. And saw it and went, oh my god, I know it's shit, I've got to buy it. And I listened to it, and I'm instantly transported back to one of the girls who had one of the parties had this courtyard garden, and it was just very, very French,
chateau.
Not quite, but it was, and I'm just there. I'm there back on these. There were flagstones, and it was lots of green hanging down, etc., etc. And I'm back there, getting snogs from the French girls, which is a great place to be. I can tell you,
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was fantastic. We did 2 French exchanges, and then I think the year after we did a trip to Paris and then one to Germany, which didn't have any. I had no memory of them whatsoever. But although I did come back from Germany with so many bloody Kraftwerk records and tapes, all in German, I was quite impressed with that. But yeah, Mort Schumann, dreadful song. I will let everybody judge how dreadful. But just evokes really, really good memories. Really good memories. So yeah.
Good. Well, jet setting at your age, that was totally out of the realms of the end of March that I lived in. I gotta say,
Fuck off.
Kill yourself an anarchist, I don't fucking know. Okay, cool, excellent. Adventures aplenty. Well, my number 5 is an album. I'm afraid, because any track.
Nope, that's cool. I've got an album on here somewhere, so that's fine.
Good. Well, any track on this. It's 1978, and me and a mate have been doing a Sunday paper round. We had 4 years we did this Sunday paper round, and we had ghetto blasters. We each took turns. We each had a ghetto blaster, and we each took turns week by week bringing a ghetto blaster in and putting a tape on. And one of the albums that did routine circulation for months and months and months was Systems of Romance by Ultravox, which I think was their second or third album. And it came out in 78, and I'd bought it. I'd bought it from Andy's Records, this time on Bridge Street in Peterborough, on cassette, because, as I say, we were pretty much living our lives around our ghetto blasters. So having it conveniently on cassette without having to rip it off ourselves was a real bonus. And to be honest, when I got it home and played it, I was quite disappointed, because I'd only bought it on the strength of the name and the cover, which looked interesting. And I was expecting something a bit more out there, a bit more outre, a bit more unconventional. And it's quite melodic and quite poppy in the main, but it grew and grew and grew on both of us until we both liked it a lot. And we used to run this alongside all the other cassettes and albums that we'd taped as we went round on our paper round, because the paper round used to take the full Sunday morning, and it was all weathers, and it was great fun, but it was arduous. The guy I used to do it with was one of my best mates, a guy by the name of Roy Nicholas. I don't think you knew Roy.
Roy is going to pop up
No,
in a little while.
no way.
Yes.
Oh, God,
Still.
you did know. Yeah, so his nickname is Roy Nicholas, Stilty Bone, Rathbone, Erasmus, P, Washington, J, Maguire, McGregor, McGrum, Order of the Sock and Worthy, Promo, Potamus, Abercrombie, Soddy, Gillespie, Go to Bed, which I remember. I remember that, and I hardly remember what I was doing last week, but for some fucking reason, my memory banks have decided that's important enough information that it needs to be held on to.
Fair play.
But it was a name that just kind of grew organically. And another one of our mates, Chris Sabat and Dob, he and I would, every few days or every few weeks or whatever, would just spontaneously add another element to it until it grew to that monumental nickname length. But we used to go around in it with this bloody cart, delivering Sunday papers, collecting the money. And the cart had, for reasons which completely are unknown to me, had a big picture of Nookie the Bear painted on the front. Fuck knows why. I don't think either of us had any interest in Nookie the Bear, but it had this fucking Nookie the Bear on the front that Roy's Stilt's brother, Chris, had painted on the front. I let him have it because Chris had a Honda 404 and it was bloody lovely, and I loved that bike.
Do you want to explain who Nookie the Bear was to?
Oh God, he was
anyone who might not know. Roger de Courcy.
Roger de Courcy, yes, he was.
Roger de Courcy used to stick his hand up Nookie the Bear's arse because Nookie the Bear wasn't a bear; he was a ventriloquist puppet.
He was, and
puppet. Sorry,
puppet. Yes.
Yeah,
but the 70s, that era of light entertainment with New Faces and Opportunity Knocks, ventriloquists
I'm pretty sure
popular.
that Roger de Courcy won New Faces.
He probably did.
That's where he first appeared.
He probably did.
See, I remember old bollocks like that. Fuck knows why.
I remember for the New Faces, he had this panel show in effect with the judges, a bit like today's X Factor or The Voice or whatever.
Totally.
So he had 3 or 4 highly respected industry judges that were marking unknowns.
Mickey Most
was one of them.
Most, he was.
And these unknowns would come on.
Tony Hatch was Tony.
Yes,
Hatch
I think Tony Hatch may have been as well.
Because he was the Simon Cowell type. Bit of a wanker, wasn't he? He was the one who'd say, "You're shit, you are." Although obviously he phrased it slightly differently.
I don't think Mickey Most was terribly kind to people either.
Well,
but
I suppose most of them were shit.
I think Lenny Henry made his name on that as well. He was a winner.
He did,
on New Faces.
Yeah.
But the thing that really kind of sticks out,
she was on it, wasn't she?
All the judges would sit on the panel and they're all smoking. They just that light up a fack.
Yeah.
But neither of us had anything of any kind of favour for Nookie the Bear. I think it was the only thing Chris could paint, and he took it upon himself to share his artistic expertise with us by plastering it on the front of our newspaper cart. So there you go. But yeah, as I say, he had a Honda 404. It's a very nice Honda 404. It had a great exhaust on it. I can't remember what the exhaust was, but it sounded brilliant. And Systems of Romance grew on us and became a listening fixture to all of Green Street and Cavalry Drive and Morton Avenue, who had to listen to it every Sunday.
I bet they loved you. And this is just for anyone who doesn't know. This is Ultravox pre-mid-year.
It is, yeah.
And with John Fox.
That's correct.
Was lead singer.
Yeah.
Who went on to release some really, really good records.
He did. Yeah,
later.
He did.
Yeah.
But he went more pure electronic, pure machine music, whereas the Ultravox records that he was doing, they were less machine than the mid-year era in many respects, because some of the records there was just no synths, you didn't hear any electronics. It was pretty much conventional rock pop.
Yeah. And their biggest hit was
who? What the John Fox Ultravox or
the mid-year?
Oh, it was Vienna, of course.
Well, that means nothing to me.
You fucking twat!
Fucking hell!
Walked into that, did I?
You walked right into that one.
Oh God, yeah, okay. I'll give you a point for that one. I'm tired.
Oh dear.
Yeah, well then, what have you got next on your list?
Next on my list is shooting forward to 2010.
Whoa.
And by that time I had my 2 daughters. Lily would have been 4 going on 5, Annie 2 going on 3, and bedtimes I would put them to bed. I'd read, they'd get a story read by either myself or Karen every night, and then we'd put them down with a CD playing. And one of their favourites was Sing Me to Sleep, CD of indie lullabies. And Indie lullabies. And the first track was by a Canadian band called Stars, and it was a cover of Smith's song called Asleep. And it starts Sing Me to Sleep. That's the first line, hence the title. And it's a gorgeous cover. And every time I play that bloody song, I'm back in their bedroom, just, reading them a story and then kissing them goodnight and sending them off to Sleepyland. And it's weird. It's a 20-track CD, and it's all kind of quite obscure American indie bands. I mean, I think Tanya Donnelly is the most famous on there. Neil from Slowdive did a song, but Stars are a Canadian band, and also weirdly released one of my favourite singles of all time, which at some point I'm sure we'll cover.
I guess so.
But this was, 20 tracks, which was absolutely fucking pointless because they were always asleep after 2 or 3. So why? I have no idea the point of 20-track lullaby CD. But I used to love to play them. They used to always put on quiet music. They'd have anything from. We used to play Tracy Thorn's Plain Sailing LP a lot. Was it Plain Sailing? A Distant Shore. Her first solo CD, and lots of Brian Eno and Harold Budd CDs as well, because they used to drift off to them. It's just such a lovely song, absolutely lovely song.
Was it a record? You said it was indie lullabies. Was it a kind of clever set of cover versions for adults as a curio, or was it meant to be played as lullabies to children?
Half and half.
Okay.
It was there because they were your favourite indie band, or a lot of indie bands doing really good covers of kids songs, that would, or mainly kids songs. I think there was a kind of a very slowish cover of The Boys of Summer on there by Paper Nut Cambridge, I think they're called, which is actually really good as well. The whole album's worth a listen.
Is it Paper Nut Cambridge?
It's something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Fuck knows who came up with that bloody name, but
that's bad.
Yes, but there was weirdly there was another lullabies CD came out at the same time that was compiled by Stuart Staples from Tindersticks, and that had, I can't remember the track, the name off the top of my head. But that had weirdly a cover of White Horses by Cerys Matthews.
Oh well,
which is really good. And also the Wedding Present covered White Horses, and also Dean and Britta, Dean Wareham from. I just went through this stage where I just looked up loads of covers of White Horses.
Peggy Lee did one as well, because I've got the Peggy Lee version, not the not Peggy Lee. Yeah, what's her name?
Jackie Lee.
No, but there's a one. Oh. I've got a different version as well. Can't remember who that's by.
Because Jackie Lee did Rupert the Bear as well, didn't she?
Oh right, Andrea Ross. That's
right.
Yeah, she did White Horses too.
Oh right, was that the sequel? That's a bad joke. Nowhere near as good as my Ultra Fox one. That just reminds me of being back in their room, just reading them stories, letting them go to bed when they were so dinky back then as well, And they're 20 and they're nearly 18 and nearly 20 now. Yeah, it's just goes by so quick.
And your reading material still hasn't progressed.
No, I still, I some of those books that they used to have, the Hungry Caterpillar and Go on a Bear Hunt and Where the Wild Things Are. They're absolutely brilliant, brilliant books. Seriously, they're so well written, so well illustrated, and reading them aloud is such good fun when you've got a captive audience. It's fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
We'll have to do a session on favourite books at some point. That might be off the beaten track a bit. It's when we've exhausted every musical angle we can possibly think of. Favourite T-shirts, favourite books.
What are we going to do now?
Just start again. Oh dear, nice.
So the other CD was called Songs for the Young at Heart.
Songs for the Young at Heart. Okay.
Yes, and that's well worth a listen as well. That's got White Horses as it's got the theme tune to Robinson Crusoe. It's got the theme music for Mary Mungo and Midge.
Oh, I love that.
Puff the Magic Dragon, sung by Bolly Prince Billy.
Oh, right. Well, that's a cheerful song, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah.
Bonnie Prince Billy. It does, but Bonnie Prince Billy doesn't tend to do very upbeat music. I can imagine him putting quite a downer on the whole thing.
But yeah, I'll put a few of those onto the playlist. Okay. But anyway, back to you. Back to me.
Okay, we'll come for another album. We've trudged onwards now to 1981, which was a major year for me. It was a really important year. Lots and lots of parties, intoxicants, girls, and I got expelled from school for a range of misdemeanors. So my life took a complete turn. But 1981 was a fantastic year, and the soundtrack for that year was made up of dozens and dozens of records that could take me back there. Some from the charts, some not from the charts, but there's a whole raft of music that I hear it and I'm back in 1981. But one album that really did form the backbone to my musical kind of nostalgia trip is What's This For by Killing Joke, of course.
Yes.
And that got played and played and played. I think I mentioned on a previous podcast that I had not only the album, but I had a 10-inch of Follow the Leaders as well.
With that brilliant dub version on the B-side.
Brilliant dub version, yes, which got lost. It was actually Stilt that lost it.
Stilt, you bastard.
You bastard, yes. All those years that I put in delivering papers and in all weathers, and you lose me my 10-inch of Follow the Leaders. But yeah, great album. For me, What's This For is a good deal better album than the first Killing Joke album.
Sacrilege.
No, I know it's not the done thing.
Yes, I wouldn't totally disagree with you. I personally would put the level peg in. I just can't choose between the two.
It's a good album, the first album, but What's This For? It's got so much power, so much more body to it. We're listening to a lot of anarcho punk, and I think for me anarcho punk was like a chainsaw of ferocity, and What's This For came along going in the same direction, but it was more an unstoppable bulldozer, just a monster of power and throbbing powerful drums. And it was a really, as I say, amazing year, not only for me personally, but we had all of that disaffection blowing up in Toxteth and Brixton and Moss Side and everything. And, What's This For kind of embodied that rage, but not as directly as the Crasses and the Rudimentary Penise and the Dirt were. They were tackling it head on with kind of flamethrower chainsaw fury, but Killing Joke going in the same direction, but just like a bulldozer. I think it was brilliant. Yeah. Still a great record today. Still stands up.
Oh, totally. I those first two Killing Joke LPs. I mean, I think I totally agree what you're saying about What's This For. I think the first album stands up there purely because of how innovative it was and how much of an influence it was on everything that came after it in that kind of genre. I mean, it definitely started a whole.
It was a different track.
Yeah, but
wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's taking the same kind of mindset and saying, well, we don't have to just follow the lead with punk. We can do punk. Yes, we can do punk a different way, and it don't have to be.
Yeah.
And lots of bands did it. I mean, Susie and the Banshees did it to some extent.
Absolutely,
it's still punk,
yeah.
but out in a different direction.
I think the way that they incorporated everything from dub to from dub reggae to disco, to punk to almost kind of, I don't know, tribal drumming. You know, I do like tribal drumming but it is that and that whole power. But yeah, I think the first album was just amazing. The second album, that just took it one step further, and I don't think they ever really recaptured that. Not like
that. No, they had.
I never really thought that anything they did post those first two albums really. I mean, Revelations, the third album, was fabulous, but
it was good.
That,
not fabulous.
Well, okay. In fact, I was. That's my overused word in podcasting. It's fabulous, but yeah.
No, but they did go off the boil when you got Fire Dances and Nighttime. Nighttime's an awful album, and they went off the boil. But they did come back again with the album Killing Joke, which is just called Killing Joke again.
Yeah, that's the one Dave Grohl drummed on, isn't it?
That's right, and that's a fantastic album. Hosannas from the Gates of Hell is another fantastic album. They really did come back with some crackers, but you know, crackers that they were, they still a few points behind What's This For. That was their pinnacle.
They paled in comparison to those first two LPs. But anyway, my next one is an LP as well, and it's the album was released in 79, but I'm kind of talking about 81, 82, and it's Secondhand Daylight by Magazine. Which, if push comes to shove, is probably my favourite album of all time.
Oh wow, that's a brave statement to make.
It is. It's just a perfect LP in my opinion. And it reminds me of I used to traipse around to Neil's house in Knight's End in March, after school, after work, after whatever. I'd walk all the way.
That was a long old walk as well.
It was a long old bloody walk. I used to walk around there, and we'd set up camp in his bedroom, and we'd just play. We had our own little playlist. It was basically Secondhand Daylight, Killing Joke records, the first two, Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls, Joseph Kay's first LP, some exploited singles, Crass singles. Just, you know, and we just play them to death, and we'd talk about how we were going to conquer the world.
How did that work out?
Fucking terribly. But it was great. You know, I don't think we talked about much at all other than music, and you know, I don't even remember the gist of the conversation. I know at one point he went off to college and met a girl, and her friend came round, and we had a bit of snogging going on.
No,
that was short lived. But other than that, we just hang around and just, you know, make mixtapes, and we used to make intricate bloody covers for these mixtapes, and write shit lyrics for a band that never happened, and they'd all basically be like kind of fucking sound like Bauhaus, might all sound like Killing Joke, you know. And it was great fun, you know. We'd go over to Peterborough at weekends and hang around all the record shops, and you know, it was great times. I kind of, until we kind of met up with Neil the other day, I'd kind of forgotten how much time I fucking spent with the little shitbag over all that time. You know, we spent hours and hours in his bedroom listening to bloody music and just pissing about in there. And then I'd get up, walk all the way home, do whatever I was doing the next day, back round Neil's in the evening, you know. Yeah, and that was. I mean, I think this was before we kind of met you guys. Really, we
Yeah.
we were a little 2-man team.
Yeah, yeah.
We'd met when we were doing paper rounds and everything, and then I think we met you guys in probably 82, 83.
Well, it must have been 82 because Cataleptic Fate was 82. So
he was, yeah. So this would probably have been 81.
Yeah.
80, 81, I would think. I can't remember whether it was when I can't remember if I used to go around there after school or when I actually left school or not by then. But yeah, magazine Secondhand Daylight, fabulous LP, released in '79. Howard Devoto, who'd originally been in Buzzcocks, John McGeoch, probably the greatest post-punk guitarist ever. Barry Adamson, the greatest bass player ever. Dave Formid on keyboards. John Doyle on drums. I'm really chuffed because I've just recited all that. I haven't even got it written down. I just know it everyone from magazine. Bonkers, isn't it? And yet, same as you, can't remember what I did yesterday. It's insane. But Secondhand Daylight, the greatest LP ever made, in my humble opinion. I would thoroughly recommend it to everybody. It's kind of it was like they took punk and added some prog, and new wave, and just fabulous.
Tell you something. I'll tell you something that will make you weep.
Go on.
I've never heard it.
You fucking joking? Really? Are you taking the piss?
No.
You've never listened to Secondhand Daylight?
No. I didn't like what I'd heard of magazine very much, so I didn't bother.
Fuck, I can't believe that.
That's hard to believe, isn't it? Hard to believe. Yeah. Well, there you go. An admission.
Jeepers.
It's out there. This is a dun 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 kind of moment.
Yeah.
There you go.
What? Someone just died in EastEnders?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Bloody hell! If you were sitting next to me now, I'd probably have strangled you. If I found out you couldn't. Never. I can't believe. I'm absolutely gobsmacked that you've never listened to it.
No, never had the inclination. Didn't much like Shot by Both Sides or anything else that I'd heard by magazine terribly much. So found lots of other stuff. At the time I was just looking for extremes, and again that wasn't really very extreme, so I didn't pay much attention.
True.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I'm not a million miles away from you with my number 7 in some respects. And number 7, we started off doing tracks, and then it kind of expanded into albums. And this is a whole band and their entire catalogue. It's 1982. The smell of melting plastic in her nostrils, and it was. You know what's going.
No, I know where you're talking about.
Yes, it's anything by the Buzzcocks, because for those of you that don't know, back in '82. Dave was afforded the managerial responsibility for this.
I wouldn't go that far. I was just the only person left there.
It was locked in a Nissan hut with a load of broken milk crates and police cones and a thermal lance, and mend those broken milk crates. And because he's lazy, he got a couple of us who were on the dole to come along and give him a hand. So Neil and me and a sadly departed friend of ours, Martin Bedford Morph, would trundle along there, and we'll each have a thermal lance and start fucking around trying to mend milk crates and so on. But the backdrop sonically to all of that was the cassette player that David had got in, which was playing Ramones, and it was playing all manner of other things, Husker Du and whatever, but Buzzcocks were constantly rolling through it. Now I love Buzzcocks. Buzzcocks, great band, and Buzzcocks would be a great band irrespective of the nostalgic trigger point that it kind of gives. But certainly when I do hear them, it's straight back. Even tracks that I probably didn't hear on that cassette player, but if it's Buzzcocks, I'm straight back in that Nissan hut. Unless it was every other Tuesday morning when I had to go and sign on with Neil to come back.
Yeah.
But what larks,
Cash in hand,
eh?
lads. Cash in
Cash in
hand.
hand, what larks, what larks, eh? Those fucking games we used to play, winding people up on the
Happy
telephone,
days, yeah.
making prank calls and pretending we were Herrywood Radio, and getting innocent people who were sitting at home minding their own business to participate in our stupid little games on the premise that they would win a holiday in America or something. Cruel, but what fun!
Oh dear. So I would imagine that would have been Singles Going Steady compilation.
I think it probably was, because it's certainly every track on there.
Yeah.
But I think there were tracks that weren't on there. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't remember what tracks were played, but I know that.
I think I had all on
Yeah.
on cassette at some point. Yeah.
But great band, great times. 82, 81, 82,
Yeah.
brilliant years.
But Buzzcocks were one of the greatest pop bands ever. I mean, those singles are just peerless.
They are.
You know, they had a run of singles that were just absolutely amazing. I saw them at the I saw them a couple of times, but I saw them at the Junction probably, it must be nearly 20 years ago now. And they were doing a tour, and they were playing the first 2 LPs in sequence. And they played the first 2 LPs, including the singles, went off, came back on the encore. The encore was all the rest of the singles. I've never heard anything like it. I smiled that much. I think my ears probably moved up about 6 inches. You know, seriously, it was just heavenly. Just sing along to these singles that, you know, that we live with all our lives. In fact, weirdly, I'm sitting at my desk and if I look up, I've got 6 framed Buzzcocks, like magazine or reprints of promotional posters, you know, kind of A4 reprints.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my favourite bands of all time.
Yeah.
Fabulous band.
Yeah, they
Buzzcocks,
didn't do anything much that missed the mark that I can think of.
No, I don't think they ever put a foot wrong, really. Even some of their latest stuff, when they reformed, some of the tracks on they did then were almost as good as. I don't think they were ever as good as the first. You know, the first few LPs, but you know, they came pretty close. Brilliant band. I heartily agree with that. That was a great time.
But the funny thing is, it just occurs to me, which is true. Not only do the Buzzcocks instantly take me back to the smells and the arsing around in that Nissan Hut, but when I smell burning plastic, I think of Buzzcocks.
Brilliant. When I smell burning plastic, I think I'm having a fucking stroke.
Yeah. You put your shower cap in the toaster again. That actually is one of the. Isn't it one of the? It's a symptom of something, isn't it? Either brain hemorrhage or a stroke. Yeah, if you smell burning plastic, I fucking walk past bonfires and think, oh my god, I'm gonna die. But yeah, November the 5th is a nightmare. I'm probably on the phone at 999. I think I'm on a stroke. Are you sure it's not a bonfire? Fuck it, yeah, sorry. Oh dear. Oh, happy times.
Anyway, my next one is my stilt story.
Go for it.
So this would have been, I think this must have been 82, 83. I think I met Stilt after me and Neil had been friends for ages, and we met you guys, and Stilt was there. He had a blue Cortina, didn't he? He had a blue Cortina. Was it blue?
Yeah, he had a Mark III Cortina. Because I can.
Oh, was it Mark III?
It was Mark III.
Oh, yes, no, you're right. It was Mark III. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I got my marks mixed up. But it was and I remember the song is "Play for Today" by The Cure.
Great song.
And we had. I obviously don't need to explain who The Cure are because they're one of the greatest bands of all time. But 17 Seconds was the LP, and we used to play the tits off that in his car because I had it on cassette.
Yeah.
And I just remember we used to go to Hunstanton all the time because that was our local.
Yeah.
That was our local beach, wasn't it? That was our local seaside town. We used to go down there. We used to drive down there to go to Heacham, and there used to be a road like an old sandy track between. Sandy track, that makes it sound small, but it was almost a road, but just basically sand between Heacham and Hunstanton.
Yeah.
And I can just distinctly remember whipping down there in his blue Cortina with "Play for Today." Blasting out this, well, I don't know if it's a blasting over at tinny, I would imagine, back in there, but blasting, to all intents and purposes, blasting out the speakers. And every time I hear that bloody song, which is a lot because, again, 17 Seconds is one of my, is probably my top 10 LPs. And
there is another session there, isn't there? Top 10 LPs of all time. That'd take some thinking about that.
God, yeah, that would be a bit too difficult. It would have to be top 50.
Yeah.
We'd have to do it over like 2 years. But yeah, just driving along between there with that on. Yeah, I can just remember the feeling of driving down there. I can see through the windshield, and see where we're going. It was amazing. And weirdly, Play for Today. I mean, they often do. I've seen The Cure 3 or 4 times in the last 8 or 9 years, I think. And Play for Today was never. It wasn't a single. And 17 Seconds wasn't the most best-selling album they ever did. But if you go to a Cure gig and they play for Today, everyone sings along with it. Yeah. But they don't sing the one with the words. They sing along to they hum along to the actual riff, So you go in, everyone's going. Da, 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 da. It's amazing. I first time I encountered it was when I saw them do the 40th anniversary gig at Hyde Park. And they started playing it, and I was like, my God, I can't believe this. Not their most popular song, and yet everyone knows the riff, and everyone just sings along with it. It was, it was great moment. And while they were singing it, I'm thinking, fucking hell, I wonder what Stilt's doing now. I wonder whatever happened to his blue Cortina.
I know what happened to his blue Cortina, because in another strange quirk of fate, you recall a couple of podcasts ago, I said I was in a crash involving Ian McManus. I was in Stilt's Cortina, and we had a head-on collision with Ian McManus and wrote both cars off. Yeah. We came round a bend a left-hand bend too quickly, and Ian was coming the other way. We went onto his side of the road, and we collided head-on. And Ian got out of the car, and the only thing he could think of to say, from what I can recall, was, "I've just washed that." So that was the end. That was the end of Stilt's Cortina.
Probably not the first time you used that phrase.
Oh dear. Oh, moving swiftly on then. Number 8 is terrible music. It really is. But it is definitely a trigger for memories. It's 1986. Now, I don't like this record a lot. It's an album. It is True Blue by Madonna.
Okay. Didn't see that coming, got to be honest.
No, a record I do not own and never will do. But in 1986, I was working with another mate, Andy Elmore. And you may or may not remember Andy.
Actually, no,
but he was.
I don't know.
You don't. Okay. Andy was a big, heavyweight skinhead type guy. Okay.
Just the type of person who listened to True Blue by Madonna.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? He was a great guy, but he was a big skinhead with his bomber jacket and big boots and everything. But he didn't really listen to that kind of music. He was a bit of a paradox, that man, enigma wrapped inside a paradox and whatever. But we worked together, and we'd go out. He'd drive this big 3.5-ton van, and we'd go out and do house removals. We'd deliver furniture all around Cambridgeshire for Queensway Furniture. We'd collecting money and so on. And it was great fun. It's bloody heavy work, but it's great fun. But we'd not always have the same musical tastes going on, and Andy really did like True Blue by Madonna. So after days and days and weeks and months of driving around with him, it has become a part of my musical history, insofar as if I am unlucky enough to hear anything off that album, I'm straight back there with Andy driving around Cambridgeshire or the rest of the country if we were doing removals, listening to that bloody rubbish. But it was funny. It was a hell of a job. I mean, we'd go and do what we were doing, and then it was all cash in hand again. So you just pick it up on Friday night, and then you straight down the Red Lion and blow the lot.
Jesus.
But Andy had this car that we used to, because we'd pick the truck up in Chatteris, which was about 10 miles from March or whatever, and that's where it was, and we'd have to make the journey to and from Chatteris in his car, and he had this little red hatchback. I don't know what it was, but it was a little red hatchback, and we used to call it the Grunty Mobile because everything it did elicited some kind of grunting noise. So if you put the brakes on,
sounds
or
like
went round
us
the corner, it was. And that was a very good analogy, because you could drive in this car and it felt like it was a lone man that was struggling. Everything grunted and groaned. But the really funny thing was the windscreen wipers didn't work. So if it was raining, Andy would have a piece of string out the window tied to one of his wiper, and I'd have a piece of string out the window tied to my wiper, and we'd take it in turns pulling the string to make the wipers go backwards and forwards, which was fucking brilliant. We used to take the piss out of him for that car. I can remember one night, me and a couple of others breaking into his garage, his mum and dad's garage, and completely wrapping his car up in toilet roll. I can't remember what possessed us, but I know he was very annoyed, and it made us laugh all the more.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing these days. I should think he's still in March. But again, happy days. It reminds me of all that stuff, because we're still having a laugh, even though it's a fucking shit to be in fucking Tory backwater market town in the middle of the 80s.
Absolutely. I mean,
I think Chernobyl was good thing.
I think everyone knows it. Everyone has a Madonna. I think Madonna. Everyone knew a Madonna fan. You know, at some point in your life, you know, or most points in your life, someone you know has been a Madonna fan. She's that all-encompassing on music.
She was huge.
I don't mind Madonna. I kind of, you know, it is what it is. And some of her songs are great. You know, I mean, I quite like Madonna. You know, I think it probably is a bit of it is the familiarity. But as pop music goes, it's very decent, accomplished pop music, and and there are proper earworms in there as well. You know, it's and again, I mean, I think it's you know, she's a female artist who got undue criticism just for being female. You know,
but I've got nothing against Madonna the person, and I think what she did in leading the way for that kind of completely out there and brave female star, no truck with that at all. I've not even got any truck with her continuing to do it in her dotage, in her old age, whatever it is, because I think she gets a lot of stick for just carrying on as if she's a youngster. Well, fair play to her if she's still got it in her, carry on doing it. But
we do. We carry on like we're youngsters. We carry on like we're bloody... I mean, it's getting harder physically, but mentally, I don't think we've progressed much from our bloody teen selves. Let's face it. It is a bit dual standards, really. And I think that, you know, I think that male pop stars are allowed to get old, you know, whereas female pop stars aren't. You know, there's a lot of pressure on her to keep looking young, which she tries, not altogether successfully all the time, but I think it's a dreadful thing that you know, female pop stars have to put up with that. You know,
Don't get all political. I'm
oh
just
no,
saying I don't like.
no, I don't. Sorry, as you can tell, it is a fucking bee in my bonnet. It has been for quite some time now. But yeah, yeah.
But Madonna the person, absolutely no
Yes.
problem. Madonna the music, no time
Yes, fair enough. Okay, next one for me then is the Stone Roses LP. 1989, 90, the whole LP. I just have to put it on, and I mean from the first bass line of I Want to Be Adored. As soon as I hear that bass kick in, bam, I'm back in 89, 90, and for some reason it's always fucking sunny. I'm not sure what the weather was like in those years, but it's sunny. I'm at various parties. I'm at Spike Island. I saw the Stone Roses at Spike Island. That whole, kind of probably 2 years, 80, all of 89 and 90 is encompassed in that one album for me. It's such a monumental album. It's such a brilliant album as well. I think it's just one of those almost perfect LPs. Apart from, I never really got Elizabeth, My Dear always pissed me off. I didn't really like that, but the rest of it is superb. Weirdly, I originally had it on a cassette that my friend Anne Marie put together for me with Stone Roses on one side, and it had Pixies, Surfer Rosa on the other, and it was a 90 minute take, so 45 minutes each side, and I think the first Stone Roses was about 46 minutes. So it wasn't until I bought the CD that I actually realised that the last song was so much longer than I originally realised. Like a twat, yeah. But it's still a brilliant album. I still listen to that album. That's another album I still listen to a lot, and probably would even without the the nostalgia value. It is fantastic LP. I think it kind of paved the way for a lot of not so good music. The 90s Britpop and
the Manchester and the Manchester baggy stuff. I didn't really get that.
I liked some of it. I never really liked Happy Mondays. I've got to admit, didn't really do it for me. Lots of I liked those first two Oasis albums. I think they were definitely of a time. I wouldn't have gone to the reunion gigs. I thought the way Oasis treated their fans was fucking disgraceful and very, very cynical. I think the whole thing,
dynamic pricing,
it was awful, and it's just the whole thing, the whole, just that, I don't know, that lack of any empathy for their fans. It's probably the most cynical money making tour I've ever been aware of. It's not even, it's just to line their pockets, and I don't really want anything to do with it. I don't, like I say, the first two albums were fantastic. Everything after that was not very fantastic. I just don't agree with it. I don't like that kind of cynicism. If it was another industry, people would be, slagging them off left, right and centre, but because it's music, it's just accepted. And I just think it's wrong. I think it's wrong.
Well, they've come in for criticism, and I think there's been a lot of deflection about whose fault it is, or whose idea it was, whose strategy it was. Was it the ticket masters, or was it the venues, or was it Oasis? But I think it came down to Oasis.
Yeah, I listened to Robert Smith's interviews when the last Cure album came out, and he was talking about dynamic price, and he fought with Ticketmaster in America to keep ticket prices down, and got them to give in and give refunds in some in some cases, and he said, if you're a musician and you say you don't know about dynamic pricing, you're either a liar or you're fucking stupid, and
no, there you go.
And I believe Robert Smith over Oasis, to be honest. But
Gallagher.
So yes, Stone Roses, brilliant LP. So your number was that That was my number 7. You're on number... No, you're on number 9 now.
No, it's your number
Yes.
8. I'm on number
Bloody
9.
hell.
Yes, I can't say too much about the Stone Roses because it's another one I didn't really pay much attention to. I'm afraid, so completely.
See, I can understand you not. I still haven't quite got over you not never hearing magazine Secondhand Daylight. Fuck's sake! But I can understand you not listening to Stone Roses. But it is a great album. I really love it. Really love it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my number 9 then. We're hurtling towards the end game. My number 9 is another Killing Joke album. It's certainly not one of their finest albums. It's not one of their worst. It's not one of their finest albums. And I don't think, again, like we were saying about Treasure and the Cocteau Twins earlier on, I think this is an album that even the band were slightly ashamed of. But I think it's got some good tracks on it, and it is another one that has a significant trigger, and it's Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, which, you know, it's one of those which very much at the lower end of the spectrum of Killing Joke's catalogue. But it was 1987, and I was living in a bedsit in Peterborough with a young lady Rachel, who went on to become my wife. And I'd gone for an interview for a job in Lincolnshire in Bourne. And just before the interview, I went in Woolies in Bourne and saw the cassette, a strange number of cassettes in this podcast, of Brighter Than a Thousand Suns by Killing Joke. And I got the job ultimately, and Brighter Than a Thousand Suns became kind of fixed to my early years working in the foundry industry. A fucking incredible place to work. It's hard to describe, really, because there was little in the way of health and safety or anything like that. There were no robots and guards and shields and all of that lot. And what guards and shields there were either purposely defeated to make the job quicker or were broken. And I used to work a 2,500 ton high pressure casting machine, making gearboxes and clutch casings for Volvo and Rover and Peugeot. It was incredibly noisy, incredibly hot, incredibly dangerous. There were injuries upon injuries upon injuries. But it was incredibly loud, so I'd get to sing my head off all day. I'd do a 10-hour shift or whatever, and I'd be singing all day. And I could sing all of Brighter Than a Thousand Suns over and over, along with, you know, the first 2 Human League albums, Reproduction and Travelogue, and Fad Gadget, and anything else I could remember the words to and sing. Would just be belting them out when I ain't got a fag hanging out of my mouth or something. But it really kind of stuck then. It became, again, the soundtrack for what was a significant moment in time. I really enjoyed the time in the foundries, although, as I say, at the time it was fucking hot and fucking heavy and quite dangerous. But that was the soundtrack, that was the album, and whenever I hear any of the tracks off that, I'm back on the platform next to this bastard dangerous machine.
Back in the foundry.
10 years or so I did in that foundry.
Bloody hell.
And barely a day went past when I wasn't burned to some degree.
I guess they burned to crisp.
Burned to crisp, no, burned to some degree. We had some accidents. Had a couple of people lost hands and arms in the machines. Remember a guy coming down the foundry with all his skin hanging off and smoke pouring off him because they had to blow back out of the furnace, and we had to collect his skin and put it in a plastic bag and get him in a shower. Because he'd just got a blast of molten metal come out of the furnace and do him in. Big Dave, he was hard.
Not quite so Big Dave now.
Well, he was still big. He'd come, Jake. Oh, I think I've had a bit of an accident.
Jesus Christ.
He was a bit of a mental guy. From what I can remember, he used to have really stupid haircuts just so that people would pick on him, so he could fight them. And I think he ended up doing 6 months because he went in a bar in Stamford, I think it was, with a haircut, and he ended up getting somebody taking the piss out of him, and they turned out to be soldiers, and he beat 3 of them up, and got arrested and put in hospital.
Was this
he was a character.
With skin or without skin?
I think this was before the accident, because I think that probably slowed him down a bit.
Imagine. Jeepers.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for
throw
sharing
rats.
that. Spectacularly gory story. Yes, I'm sure the listeners will be laughing. Oh God, no, bloke, no skin. Jeepers.
It was a good time, fascinating time.
Oh, okay, mine. So that was your number 9. My number 9
That
is Victims by Culture Club. Yes.
Oh,
So
blimey.
when I was 18, 19, I did a spectacularly stupid thing and joined the Navy for a short amount of time. I don't know what I was thinking of there, but I think it was one of those.
Escape.
It was one of those things where, I mean, we came from a dead end town, really. No offence to any Marks listeners, but I mean, come on, shithole. Let's face it. I left school with very few qualifications. No one could work out why, because I was relatively intelligent, couldn't do it. Obviously, this year
It's relatively in terms of the farm animals.
This year I got diagnosed with ADHD, so that kind of explains that. So a lot of my friends had joined the Navy, so I thought, well, why not? I'll give it a bash. And I joined up, and I did about 8 months. And I didn't like it. I came out, but when we all slept in, when we were doing our training, we had a big dormitory, and there was a guy called Sean Donovan from London, mate. He was blimey, he's a Cockney, and he bought we all bought Walkmans, and he had a cassette player, and he was a big Culture Club fan and played the second LP that I can't actually remember. Was it Kissing to Be Clever, the second one? And Victims. Just, oh God, I listened to it. If I hear Victims, which is a very, very good song. I do like Culture Club. George is a fantastic singer, and they did some proper decent tracks. Karma Chameleon gets on my tits, but a lot of the other ones, and Victims especially is a wonderful song. I can remember the orange bedspreads we had on our beds. I can remember the whole layout of the dormitory, outside the dormitory. I mean, one of the things that I've always had a memory for is buildings and layouts of buildings that I've been, whether it be schools or workplaces. I can always remember the layout of the building. I know it's really weird. It's a particularly neurodivergent thing, apparently, although that kind of thing is anyway. But yeah, I've always had a memory for that, and and I can remember it perfectly. I remember a lot of the guys that I mean, they all had generic nicknames, like all the Welsh people were called Taff, and all the Irish people were called Paddy, and it was very 80s, a very 80s Navy, and I just always remember Sean Donovan's cassette player with Victims. I also remember that there were lots of Jam fans, and for some unknown reason, I know all the words to Down the Two States to Midnight, and I used to charge £1 to write all the lyrics out for them. I have no idea why that cost. I just said, someone said, write lyrics down for me, and I went, we'll do it for £1. And they was kind of saying, can you write it for me as well? I'm like, yeah, I bet. So I'd be writing the fucking lyrics to Down in the Two Station at midnight for £1 a time. Oh dear, bloody.
So what year was that you went?
So
down
that would
there
be 83 to late 83 to mid 84. I did the training, did basic training, I did the secondary training, and then I got out right at the end of that because it wasn't for me. I think it was just the you had to make a commitment to do, like, I think it was 4 years, and you had to stay in 4 years. I thought, I don't want to fucking do that. And so I left and came back and went back on the dole with you fucking bone-idle wankers. So
yes, we did. We noticed you'd gone about a week before you came back.
Exactly. Yeah. What was his name? Oh, there he is. Yeah. I remember I used to come back. They used to get rations. You used to get cigarette rations. They'd give you 200 fags a month, and I used to bring mine all home and sell them to everyone for a ridiculous amount of money because everyone wanted these Navy cigarettes. and I just go and buy.
You're a proper mercenary,
Yeah,
aren't
I
you?
just
You're
go.
a proper mercenary.
I just go and buy loads of Marlboros and take take them back with me. Yeah. Oh, happy days! I remember I remember so much about about that time in the Navy. It was. I met some nice people in there. I met some proper nutters, but I met some really nice people in there. Who?
What was it you did?
Well, I had a because of my eyesight. My eyesight was so bad because I'm short-sighted. I could either do all the kind of the admin work, or stores, or steward, and no one wanted to be a steward because everyone hated them. So I did the admin. I think we were called writers or something. So I was doing that, and it was like payroll and shit like that. It was. I mean, it wasn't a bad time. I learned a lot while I was in there. I came out kind of quite different than I'd gone in. But yeah, it wasn't for me, as it turned out.
No.
So
you never learned how to drive an aircraft carrier.
I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't get to learn how to tie tiny fucking knots or anything. But I was really good at I was really good at ironing when I came out, though, because everything had to be ironed to perfection. I was really quite good at ironing, but other than that,
What a guy.
not a lot.
No, never mind.
So. Your final one.
My final one is an extraordinarily well-known track, I would think, although many people probably won't know the track by the name or the title. They just would have heard it on one of a multitude of documentaries or adverts or indeed mainstream films where this piece of music just got sucked up time and time again. And it's a track called Hoppy Pole by Sigur Rós. 2005. It's a great piece of music from their third album, Tack. First two albums were incredible albums. Tack's a very good album as well. But the track Hoppy Pole is superb piece of music. For those who don't know, Sigur Rós, Icelandic band that do a kind of post-rock, ambient, classical type music, which is very accessible. Hence, this particular track turning up everywhere in the mid-noughties. But for me, it is again a piece of music with a direct connection to a holiday that me and Rachel and the kids went and did 3.5 weeks driving around Western Canada in a big 28-foot RV. And it's a great piece of music on its own anyway, but when that's playing and you're driving up the Sea to Sky Highway on the Pacific coast of Canada, or down the Icefields Parkway, or through the Wells Grey Provincial Park or something, over the Rockies, it just fits with that vast, spectacular landscape. It's just almost as if it's written for that. And whilst I had some fucking horrible moments driving that bloody thing, trying to drive this huge RV up single lane gravel tracks that are twisting and turning up the bloody mountainside, and it's slipping and sliding and you don't know which way it's going to go, and all your family's inside it. It's some pretty hairy moments, but when you're on a proper road and the mountains and the forests and the glaciers are weaving their way past, having Sigur Rós on and that particular track amongst many is just perfect.
Yes, I can imagine. There's a crack. Sigur Rós do some fabulous music, don't they? Fabulous music.
Do. Yeah.
And I could probably have picked a Sigur Rós track or two, but I didn't. But yeah, I'm glad you did.
I mean. It's not about what's great music in itself, and we've had all kinds on tonight, really, haven't we?
Absolutely.
But it's what has that connection, and that really did.
Yeah. It's weird how I think I don't think I've had any places, have I? Just kind of events and people. Mine have. I did find this incredibly hard, I've got to admit, because these were obvious ones, but I know full well that at some point, in the near future, I'll be listening to something and I'll go, that's just, But But my final one is from 1987. Now, at some point in the near future, there will be a tiny Northern Irish woman walking along, listening to this podcast with a face like thunder, going, "He hasn't mentioned our fucking song, the bastard." And I am now going to mention it. My friend Janet, also known as Brendan, because we thought everyone from Ireland should be called Brendan when we met her. I worked with her for a year at the hotel, and we just had the best fucking year ever. We were just proper good mates, and we just hung out and we got up to all kinds of fucking shenanigans. I know you like that word, but they were definitely shenanigans. We had a fucking scream, and we listened to so much music. But the song, "A Wish Away" by the Wonder Stuff, has always been our song. I mean, she stayed there for a year. We've kind of managed to stay in touch ever since. I haven't seen her in far too long a time. We leave each other voice notes on WhatsApp. It's just one of those friendships that is just the greatest friendship ever. You know, you don't really need to try, because you both know that somewhere in the world the other one exists. And
how poetic.
But it is, you know, and I've imagined she imagines me getting up to all manner of things, and I imagine her getting up to all manner of things. We both got married, we both had kids, you know, but we've always got, you know, the memory of a fucking brilliant year that we had, and you know, it was the best platonic girl boy friendship I've ever had, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, she had a boyfriend up in Scotland, and I respected that, you know, and we just fucking had a brilliant time. And
I'm so lost in the story, I've forgotten what the song was.
"A Wish Away" by the Wonder Stuff.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
And we bonded over music, as all the best friendships do start. Well, this started over music, our love of Cocteau Twins, and then Wonder Stuff, and she introduced me to Van Morrison. Not literally, because he's a grumpy twat. I don't think I would want to meet him. And regaled me of tales of Northern Ireland, and and used to get me to say things like "the crack was 90," and I had no idea what that ever meant. She'd get angry with me and throw Doc Marten shoes at me.
I can understand that.
Yeah, she threw one that hard at me once. It hit me on the head, bounced back. She caught it, threw the fucking thing again. It was, and
never miss an opportunity.
Yeah, and weirdly, just the weirdest story. The weirdest thing happened to me when I used to work at Virgin Media, and I did business faults, and I got a call one day from a guy, and he said in a strong Northern Irish accent, you know, "I've got a fault. I'm working here, and I need to." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I had to wait for something, and there was a pause, and he said, "So do you like football?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "I'm a Chelsea fan," and I said, "Yeah, me too." And we got chatting. I was thinking, "Fucking hell, I know you." And I said, "Is your name Chris?" And he went, "Yeah." And I said, "Are you married to someone called Brendan?" And he went, "No, but Brendan, oh my God, is that Dave?"
Oh my God.
And I had been inadvertently talking to her husband. I didn't even fucking know.
Fucking hell, what are the chances of that?
Exactly, yeah. And he was like, well, if I tell her, she'll go fucking mental. Yeah, so... I thought that was a half decent Belfast accent. Then I had lots of practice.
Yeah.
With you, Brendan, and Stiff Little Fingers, you know, and all the other Irish bands. Yeah, we used to.
It's convincing. Not
We
bad.
used to. Funnily enough, at Virgin as well, we used to work with a guy from Northern Ireland, and his accent was so thick, you just had no idea what he was talking about. But he was a heavy metal fan, and we got talking about a band. I've got a feel. I don't think it was Wolfsbane, but it was something like that. And he got really excited because we'd heard this band, and he said something along the lines of, "I heard of Wolfsbane." And it was, we just spoke to him. We just did these impressions forevermore. Where it was just gibberish, and then we just bung on a heavy metal band name at the end of it. Oh, fucking hell. I can't even remember his bloody name. I can remember the layout of the building we worked in, but I can't remember his fucking name. Oh dear. So yeah, so Brendan, I didn't forget you. I just left you to the end because I knew it'd really fucking pissed you off. And I knew you'd be really angry with me. And I just thought it'd be really funny. So please forgive me. My love, I'm really, really sorry.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, that was a marathon again.
Yeah, there it is. That was the. I thought we were cracking on like we were going to hit the time slot, but it's kind of stretched on. But no matter, we've had a laugh. We've had a trip down memory lanes.
I'm pretty sure that no one. I doubt anyone will ever listen to another podcast that we do because they're like, "What the fuck are they talking about? Who are these people they're referring to?" I have no. We should probably do like a biography page and like a cast of characters, and I'll stick it on the Facebook page so people can refer to it. So Brendan. Oh yes, girl called Janet. Yeah, Elmore, Andrew. Yeah, a big skinhead. Skinless John. Yeah.
Oh God! Yeah, you have to put it on the Facebook page. Persona Dramatized.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. Yes, that'll be great. So, okay, well, I think that's it. I don't think we've got anything else to add, other than to say I did get a message from Keith of Keith Records fame, who thanked us for our kind words and told us how much he used to enjoy serving us. I think he may have made that bit up, but and how much he appreciated that we all remember him, which was really, really cool. So. Yeah, that was awesome. I was really pleased to hear from him.
It was good.
So anyone we need to apologise to? Probably residents of Chatteris and March for calling their town shitholes.
Yeah, maybe. If anybody's listening, just accept that there's a blanket apology if we offend you for anything. We're just two old blokes who are rattling on, and we mean no harm unless you're a Tory.
Yeah, then you can fuck off. Oh dear. We're going to have to do another one. We're going to have to do another one on Friday, so I can have a few beers and. Because I can't believe that we're sober when we do these bloody things. Well, you're sober anyway, aren't you? You don't drink anyway.
Well, I don't drink anymore, so I'm always sober.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
dear.
So next one then. So we'll do one. I'll get this all sorted out. But the next one we're talking about doing girls.
Yes. I think that's a good idea, girls. And if anyone wants to comment on, if anyone could be asked someone to comment on songs that remember them, we'll give it a mention. Soon. I did have an email from someone about Keith's Records, and I fucking lost it. I'll try and find that and mention that next week, next time as well. So yeah. So anyway,
we'll do a dodgy playlist, which is listen with caution given the content this time round. I think.
Yeah, flipping heck. Well, I'll try and bung a bit of everything we've talked about, and I'll bung a load of old 70s. TV themes in as well, just for laugh, because they're always fucking brilliant. So yeah, Robinson Crusoe. No,
I can remember it now. Yeah. Oh dear. Blimey.
Yeah. Superb.
All right.
Anyway,
well,
yes. Let's sign off.
Farewell, listener.
Yeah, and we'll see you again very, very soon.